So as a lot of you know, I use Godox, I use Profoto. Um, I I have a lot of Godox gear from the 8200s, the V100 to the ring lights, the stick light. Their innovations are fantastic, but I have a favorite from them, and believe me, this V100 came pretty close to being my favorite, but I still have one light that's still my favorite out of all of them because I do a lot of events. And, it's funny because a lot of people will ask if they don't see me using a light on this channel. I don't show all my paid work on this. I don't show a lot of my paid work on this channel because I can't. But the stuff I use for paid work varies so much. Sometimes I'll have the Leica camera, sometimes I'll have the Sony camera, sometimes I'll have a Nikon. It depends on the job and the mood I'm in that day, I guess. But mostly because of the job and the environment that I'll be in. But as far as flashes are concerned, now this is probably the best Godox flash they've ever produced, the V100. I think it's amazing. I think it's steps ahead of what they ever produced before, and I really love this flash. Now, here's the thing. My favorite flash out of the Godox system, out of all of them, to this day, this is it. This is the Godox Lux Pro or Lux Master. This is everything. People, you watch the reviews on this, and I'm guessing from the reviews from YouTubers, is why this isn't as popular as it should be because they call it big and bulky. I'm sorry, it's half the weight of the Speedlight, almost half the weight. Form factor, it's not big and bulky, okay? It really, really isn't. It's a tiny light that I can slip in my back pocket. Not that I can't do this one, but it's a tight fit. And this is heavy. This handheld is just really lightweight. And no matter what you're using with it, whether you're using, this, I love this. I love it for the light quality, not for the novelty of it. And the way everybody talks, this is more of a novelty, or if you have a retro camera and want to look retro, you get this. This is for everything. It's not just for the retro look, um, which drives me crazy. It is a fantastic light on its own, despite it being retro. Um, or I shouldn't say it despite, I should say, even though it looks, it's a fantastic flash. I use it in all configurations. Believe it or not, I like that the silver reflector a little bit more than all of them, but this is fantastic too. I mean, just to go and shoot like this and to be able to throw this in your back pocket and have, hands free, that's what I love about it. And obviously, you can use the bracket and put it on the side too. It's a great flash that way as well. But for me, handheld, this is everything. It just works for me all the time. And this dome, people are like, well, you can't bounce it because it doesn't have a full. I just tilt it just a little bit and I control my light and my power just by turning it. It works and it's a great little flash. It's just fantastic. Now, obviously, you can't change the battery out of it, and people will say, "Well, you can't change the battery, so I can't take it." Well, I have two of these. I always have two flashes of everything I have because if I'm doing a job, if something goes down, I need the backup. That's without saying. If I ever did run out of power with this, which I haven't to date. Now I've had it for quite a while since it came out, pretty much since the day it came out. All the jobs I've ever done with it, I've never run out of battery power. But I have a spare in my bag and I'm ready to go anyway. And it's only this big, so I can stick this in the side of my bag and it doesn't take up any space whatsoever. The other thing is people bitch about that it's, plastic. Well, yeah, it's plastic. It's lightweight. I want it to be plastic because I don't want a metal unit for this type unit because I want it lightweight. I can carry this all day. It's easier to hold than a speed light when I'm doing handheld. Okay. Now, would I pick this first over a speed light? No. If you're just getting into flash and you don't have a speed light yet, always start with a speed light because you can use it handheld off camera. You can put it on camera in case your remote goes. This is imperative. Everybody should have one speed light that they can count on. And if you're doing jobs, you should have two of the same. Honestly, it's just the way it is. So, if you can't afford the $349 one, get a cheaper one or get a used one, but get two of them so you have a backup when you're doing professional jobs, if you're doing paid jobs. If you're not, one flash is fine. But, always start with this first because it can do everything, including on camera and off camera. This here, as great as it is off camera, I can't put this on camera. It's just not going to happen. But I do have two of them. So if one goes down, I'm covered. And I have two remotes for every camera as well. Because if one goes down, I'm covered. So anyway, I want to show you a shoot with this today and show you what it can do. The specs wise, I don't know. It's 50 watt seconds or something. It works for me. It has enough power for the things I'm shooting. I can take this dome off and just use the reflector if I need more power. Or if I'm using this, you have to remember, this is one setup of it. And then you can tighten this up to make it even tighter, a tighter beam. You just move it to the next notch and it'll be a tighter beam than that. So, this even has some play with it. Let me just show you here. So that's how wide it is normally. And if I switch it over to the next notch, it's even a tighter beam and it throws out more power. So this is very versatile as well. This can be fiddly to open up and to close and so forth. And you have to be careful with it, obviously. But once it's open, it's good. And once it's on the unit, you don't have to worry about it because it's pretty firm when it's open. But opening it, it can be a pain in the ass at times, honestly. But it's not going to stop me from using it because I love it that much. And, being able to fold it up like this and throw it in my pocket, I love it. And this is it, like you have to fiddle with it sometimes, you get it closed and opened, and you have to be careful with it because they will break. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I have an extra one of these too, just in case I break it. I broke one of these before, but believe me, and it was just me rushing to open it versus taking my time and doing it the right way. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Let's get to the shoot. I want to show you really my favorite flash out of the Godox system and how I use it and the different looks that you can get with the different modifiers. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Now to the shoot. So I'm going to start off with the two different modifiers I use. The metal reflector, the fan reflector, whatever you want to call it. It is a specular contrasty light, and I love it. That's my favorite type of light. And this thing, just produces great light. And then the dome. The dome diffuses the light a little bit more. Remember, it's not softer, it's just more diffused. And it's forgiving. Unlike the metal reflector. The metal reflector, you have to be aimed in the correct direction. The dome, you can be off a little bit and it's forgiving. When you're shooting handheld, especially at events, and you're holding this above your head to the side and so forth, it's easy to turn it in different directions where it's not like directly on your subject, which definitely can cause a problem with the metal reflector. With the dome, it's forgiving and it's okay if you're not exactly, pointed in the right direction. It's still going to cover your subject, which I love. Now, I'm going to use the metal reflector a lot, and I use it a lot because I love the light from it. I love that contrasty specular light. That's my favorite light of all light. I would take that over a big softbox any day of the week because of what I can do with it and because I can create that dramatic lighting that I love. And you have to admit, it's just beautiful light. Now, if somebody has shine on their face, that's going to be an issue, but you can take that down in post. But I think the light from this and, the texture it creates on skin and clothing and so forth is worth the effort or the extra effort you have to take in post-processing to use it. That's just me though. But if you've never tried it before, if you never tried a harder light like this before, definitely try it because you may find out that you absolutely love it. Now, I just wanted to go out into the dark hallway here. I'm going to do the first shot at the same ISO that I was in the studio. Remember, I'm shooting everything manual. And obviously, she's going to be lit, and she'll be lit
perfectly, but in the back, it's just too dark for me. This is the thing I always tell on this channel, like lift up your ISO for that. Don't worry about noise. You're not going to get that much noise with higher ISOs. This is at 800 ISO, and it's bringing some of that backlight in, and it's just a nicer look. Now, I'm shooting with the Leica to start with, the Leica SL2S, and I'm going to switch over to the Sony next. Not that's going to make much of a difference. Again, I'm shooting in manual, so it really doesn't matter. And I'm shooting the manual not in TTL, but in manual mode. Now, don't get me wrong, with the X3, the TTL is actually pretty darn good on this thing. The only time I would ever have an issue with it, again, is like if she's in a black dress. That's going to screw up the TTL. On the Sony, it doesn't do it as much. But, somebody else asked me, like, you don't see me using Sony flashes. Did I get rid of them, or did I give up on them or something? No, I still use my Sony flashes, especially if I'm doing an event that's, I want to do on-camera flash. It's going to be the Sony flash every time I go, because it's too good not to use. No, don't get me wrong. The V100 is fantastic, but if I use a smaller Sony flash like the 46, it's really lightweight. Sitting on top of my camera all night, it's fantastic. And the Sony or the Leica, I use the SF40 because on top of the camera, it's lightweight, it's small. That's the perfect flash for me. But if I am going to shoot handheld, it's this one. But if I need a lot more power for some reason, I know I'm going to be doing bigger groups and I'm still going to shoot handheld, I'll take a Speedlight, like the V100 versus this. But most events, even if it's a big room and it's just candid photos for the event, I'm taking this little thing because it works. And I've never had a problem where I needed more power. Now, I use the dome for events because of that forgiveness and because it's a lot more durable. Now, that metal fan reflector, it is a great reflector, but you have to be careful with it. That can't be thrown around, and you have to be careful when you're opening it and closing it because it can break. I hope they come up with another one that's just a little bit more durable, but this one, it's not exactly durable. You have to take care of it. You have to, treat it with care. Otherwise, you will break it. And I have broke one before. Even with treating it with care, it just got stuck when I was opening it. I pulled a little too hard and one of the bands snapped and it's done. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. But with the dome, you can beat it around a little bit. It's just a metal reflector with a dome on top of it. And again, you can take that dome off and use just the metal reflector on that modifier, and you can push out more power. So if you need more power, it's there. Now, for this last part, I wanted to put this on the stand because this really is a great little stand light as well for off-camera flash. You think, oh my God, it's so small, like it's such a small modifier, it's going to be horrible light. It's a matter of how you're using it. Like I'll feather it just a little bit, not much, just a little bit, and point it in the right direction. It's going to be nice light. Obviously, it's going to be harder than a softbox would be, but it still works really, really well and produces, I just think, beautiful light, if you don't mind this type light. But that, for a little dish like that, that's impressive to me. And I had to get rid of the tan. It worked for her first outfit, but I needed white for this outfit. And I'm going to be shooting a little hotter, so it's not like you're going to pull out much of that pink in the outfit anyway. But it's still going to be there, and I just didn't want it contrasting with that tan or whatever that is, cocoa. I don't know what color it is. That's the X-Drop Pro system, by the way. And that's why I love that system so much, because it's so easy just to change out those backdrops in seconds. Anyway, so I just wanted to move this light around, this metal reflector, to show you what kind of light you can get out of this. And I think that's beautiful. But it's a matter of taste on what you like. And whether you use the dome or the metal reflector that comes with it, I think the dome is only like $19, which is really inexpensive. And again, they do have that softbox. I am going to grab one of those and try it. Just because I want to, and I want to see, like a lot of people love it, and they like it better than the dome, but I really love this dome, so I can't imagine me liking it more. but I definitely want to try it for like this little stand setup. This is nice, a light like this that you can fit in your camera bag, and you take a little travel light stand. I think it would be fantastic. So anyway, that's the shoot for the day. That's why this is one of my favorite Godox lights, because of its versatility. And again, don't listen to the YouTubers that say this is just for retro cameras, or is a gimmick, because it's not. It's a great professional flash that puts out beautiful light, and the light quality is fantastic. That bare bulb just produces. Thanks for watching as always. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'll be glad to answer them.